Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Lego Indiana Jones, the original trilogy. Today we start The Last Crusade, the final of the original trilogy movies, so let's just begin. So we're gonna do the hunt for Sir Richard. Now, I imagine you couldn't have the actor who plays Indiana Jones's father as the main character of the first two movies. I just don't think he would have been able to do enough of the action events, nor would he have really been the character they were looking to write to you and for. On the other hand, there's kind of no reason why you need his father in this movie either. It could easily have been both either Willie or Marion that sent Indiana Jones the parcel and said, I need your help. And the notebook. Let's see. That would kind of work. I imagine Marion would be competent enough to do that. Willie technically is just a character. You may notice in the background the thuggy bad guys from the previous movie are just standing there. And Indiana Jones is being oblivious while she's trying to get their attention. So, who is this character? Elsa. So, Elsa is the third love interest. Man, and the game is already locking up. Ready to go, game. Step 1. Lock up. Is it because of the water in Venice? If that's the case, let's try to jump the other way and get away from the water as much as we can. So she can open nothing, I guess. So what happened to Willie? What happened to Marion, the love interest before? See, and if they were gonna make the joke that Indiana Jones might have a kid, which is what they did in the Crystal Skull, well, I guess it wasn't even a joke. It was true. He did have a kid. They should have expanded it even more and made reference to the fact that he was running around with 3 different girls in 3 different movies. Not that dating 3 people in your entire life is a massively inappropriately large amount. It's just, it would certainly be funny. I guess they just couldn't get any of the female leads to come back, or maybe Harrison Ford didn't want him to come back. Maybe Harrison Ford was dating these girls while the movies were being recorded. That wouldn't be very professional, but it also wouldn't be out of character from what I've heard. Here we have another one of these levers. These levers don't change at all in the entire game. Where later Lego games, you clearly see that they've designed like multiple versions of ladders and levers and hat dispensers, which the hat dispensers don't exist in this game either. Here it's the exact same thing each time. Let's come over here and get the key. If I had a bazooka, I could blow up the silver lamps, but I don't, so I can't. Lanterns, lamps, whatever you call those. Street lights. Indiana Jones doesn't have his gear on, but he does have his whip with him. And see, they got pretty silly in the young Indiana Jones series with trying to explain like where he got his hat from. Well, where he got his hat from actually is explained in this movie. At the very beginning, a scene that they didn't bother to even show. But who are these bad guys that are shooting me? We don't even know. But yeah, they explain where he got his whip from in the Young Indiana Jones series, which was a TV series trying to make it more kid friendly, I assume, is the goal there. And trying to do something more with it. Ironically, now in 2017, the closest thing that does anything with the Indiana Jones series is the TBS movies slash TV series. They made several movies, and then they made a TV series for The Librarian is the name of it. And so it'll be The Librarian and the versus Dracula, or The Librarian versus the Staff of Ra, or something like that. And I think those were close to two names of the movie series, which the movies were really good. The TV series, they allow 12 different people to write 12 different episodes. Nah, that's not exactly accurate. They have different people write different episodes, so it's close to 4 people write 2 episodes, or maybe a couple people write 3 episodes, and a couple people just write 1 episode per season. But what it eventually ends up doing is having all of the characters always having to end up in the exact same place that they started off as, and there can be no character development, there can be no story progression, because who knows how the next story is written, and it clearly feels that way, that most of the stories are pointless and they don't have any connection to the previous stories. I guess I can't get up there. And see, there's a whole water section here, but you can't just jump in the water and swim, can you? Oh, I guess you can. Well, that's a little surprising. It's always about 50-50 on games, whether jumping in the water is your way of killing yourself or is something doable. Even for an old game like this, though, I have to admit the water effects do look nice. I wonder if that's something that could be improved upon just internally. Like if you use a DirectX function to animate water, and you use DirectX 9 to code for that, does DirectX 10 possibly say, well, we can do water better than that, so we'll just animate it nicer? I don't know. That's pure speculation on my part, whether that could happen. It would be nice if that could happen. It'd be nice if games started rendering everything using voxels or scalable vector graphics, so regardless of how old the games are, anything from 2010 and older just always looks awesome. So if 10, 20, 30 years down the line we have 8K televisions and monitors, we could play games in 8K. And I think Crysis in particular is kind of designed to be like that, and that's why it has for a long time been considered a very good way to benchmark newer PCs before people can make full custom benchmarks. But then there are also issues where just new technology comes into it. We have introduced in video cards things like Tress effects, which is if you look at the hair of this character, it's just one glob of Play-Doh all matched together, plastic. Where if you're playing a game with Tress effects, they may be using 10 to 20% of your graphics card just to animate 1,000 strands of hair on a character so it looks like real hair. That's, I guess, one of the really good argument to say if we are living in a simulation, as some theorists are saying, it has to be a very powerful computer simulating it for the 7 billion people on the planet with probably quadrillion strands of hair floating everywhere. But who knows? People get intrigued with such ideas, but in the long run, it's not gonna matter one bit. So here we have the scene where X marks the spot, which is kind of obvious. Frankly, they have to do a lot of, I think, visual trickery and not show the X until you're supposed to, as the viewer, figure out that's what you're supposed to do. Because the idea of X marks the spot is, I think it was originally in Treasure Island, was the idea of X marks the spot. It may have been introduced even earlier than that. Maybe a lot earlier than that. But it certainly wasn't introduced when this movie came out. Well, unless I find something to throw at these books. This is a pretty funny scene where he uses one of these velvet rope holders to break the floor, and throughout the whole time it's just coincidentally timed with the stamping of the librarian, and the game locked up. This is a cool scene too, where you push the item and it converts it into a staircase. Now, if you were to actually build this with Legos, there's nothing that I see here that would actually make it work this way. There are pieces like this that you could stack on a plastic rod, which they make plastic rods, but nothing would stop this piece right in the right place, or that piece in the right place. They'd have to design something new and custom, and I don't think it would get used enough for them. Ironically, Lego, even though they seem to make a lot of money these days, almost went out of business. And is that a Master Chief or a Knight? Looks a little green. Let's see. I don't think it would be a Master Chief. That would make much sense. So one of the things Legos did when they almost went out of business was rethink and limit the number and style pieces that they made. So they're actually rather conservative on making custom pieces. And if you are going to see custom pieces, it usually is in a $300 export set. A clear example of this is they made red bricks. How do I explain this better? Some Lego bricks have brickwork pattern on them, so they actually look like bricks when you connect them together. And they made a brownstone red color bricks for the Ghostbusters firehouse. And that was the only set whatsoever that used that. So when they had extras of that brick, they gave away a free prize that Christmas for a purchase over a certain amount of a Santa Claus in a snow globe with a Christmas tree. And as part of the base to that, they used some of the red bricks from the Ghostbuster firehouse. So, to my knowledge, those are the only two sets now that have ever used those bricks. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see the red bricks ever again, or for a very long time. Or we may see a more medium style sets. It's kind of hard to keep an eye on the medium costing sets because a set that costs $10 can come and go from Lego a lot easier than the sets that cost $300. But I'm not sure exactly what they would use it for, red bricks, unless there's something Disney they could use it for, because they almost certainly are going to start to have an annualized releasing of Lego Disney products now that they are doing like Mickey Mouse and all of them. Seems like there should be something over there. It's some nice looking stained glass here. It's a shame it's not Lego, but it is pretty. If we can get over here and see it. Nice reflections. Like when my video card wants to cooperate and when the game wants to not lock up. Let's see. So, spoiler alert to a very old story. Will she be let in? Because it turns out she's a bad guy. No. So you do need a hat. Otherwise they will blow you up. Alright, so we need Indy to come over here. See, Indy can throw these here. And that doesn't really do anything. Yeah. But I suspect heavily they will have an annualized Disney things. Different rides, different Disney parks, different things like this. This may end the level. They possibly will. What was the other thing I was thinking that they're probably going to do? Oh yes, Lego Batman. The Lego Batman movie will probably leave them open for more Lego Batman things. So they've been doing that for the past year or so. And then they will probably try to make the Lego Movie 2, which will probably come out a year after the Lego Batman movie is out, which it should be out already by the time you're seeing this. That was weird. She puts a skull in your face. That's how you know a girl's a keeper, when they're willing to pick up something really gross and tease you with it. So here we're gonna run into the rats. And the irony, I think, is nobody actually has a fear of the rats. And so apparently I need to get 5 skeletons. Here we have some greenish sewer water. There weren't really any booby traps in this section of the movie. There was just a group of... That's number 2. There was just a group of bad guys who actually turned out to be good guys. I posited the thought that if Indiana Jones simply didn't show up, if he just stayed home in each of the movies, he would have actually caused less damage and done less harm. And this actually is a clear example in this movie, because they wouldn't have made it even this far. They wouldn't have made it to the tomb of Sir Richard. And because the bad guys made it this far, wouldn't have made it this far, they wouldn't have been anywhere close to finding where the Holy Grail was kept. And I guess the idea here, if the Nazis did find the Holy Grail, then they would be able to use it to either make all of their soldiers immortal, or keep Hitler alive. Not that Hitler really was dying of anything. He probably did have some sickness and some disease, but I think most would argue it was mental. We'd lost the other guy. He's not coming down here. We've got a giant hieroglyphs here. I think I missed a move here. Yeah, I did. But see, let's say all the Nazis succeeded and they got the Holy Grail, and because of that they could keep Hitler alive forever. The only thing then would have been Hitler would have been trapped in the place where the Grail is kept, or he would have tried to leave with the Grail and it would have killed him. So Elsa is afraid of rats, which Elsa I don't believe was actually in this scene at all. Alright, you're gonna jump over? There. There. Yeah. As I think about it more and more, it's clearly the case, 100% the case, that Indiana Jones makes it worse in every single movie. And it's funny to say this, but the truth of it is, what it points out is that Steven Spielberg, or whoever also wrote with Steven Spielberg to make these movies, if it's not Steven Spielberg, I could be wrong about that, but I don't think so, is not a good writer. He didn't think his movies through. Like, I'm not fanboy questioning this. In fact, to my knowledge, I've never heard any fanboys make these arguments at all. Probably because they are blinded by their love of the movies, which is somewhat understandable. I'm looking everywhere. Yeah. Let's see, we can do this. And that frees one more skeleton. But even if I do free all the skeletons, I'm not sure I would really want to run all the way back to go get that collectible. Not when I can do it in free play mode. Up, up, and away. Darn it. Did that splash in the water? Okay, I've got it now. Let's see, they intentionally programmed him to walk away from those platforms instead of just stand on the platforms. But yeah, you definitely need to think your movies through. Why is this character doing this? Is the character actually helping the goal of the movie or hurting the goal of the movie? Is he acting as a hero now, or is he acting as a villain? Is this something realistic that the character you're writing for would be expected from his? Would his actions be expected, or would they be shocking and hard to understand? I mean, you have to think all these things through before you even show it to another audience, because another audience may not catch half those things. Doesn't make sense to you. One of the movies that is very much liked, but I find actually very kind of a disappointment, is The Book of Eli. And the reason why I find it as a disappointment is because I clearly guessed the big twist at the beginning. It's heavily implied what the twist is at the beginning, and then there's really no implication or thing to point you in the wrong direction. There's no red herrings, there's no false turns, there's no dead ends in the story. Spoilers for the Book of Eli is that the book is the Bible. Now, there is something special about the main character in the movie, sure, and there's and that would have been a big twist also if they hadn't introduced other characters that had the same special thing going on with them as the main character, and then it just made it very obvious what that twist was also. So the whole movie really doesn't have a twist. It just kind of pretends like it does. And the writer of the Book of Eli then went on to write Star Wars Rogue One, which is a movie that really can't have a twist at all because all the characters in the movie are new, and it's set in a time frame in between Star Wars Episode 3 and Episode 4. So you can't really introduce a group of characters and then have them never be mentioned again. You could have introduced a couple of characters that way, but not all of them. Seriously, what am I supposed to be doing? I have no idea where this is supposed to be pushed. There would be no reason for it to be pushed that way. There's really no reason for it to be pushed this way. And it kind of locks, so I can't get up there. So am I supposed to do something like that? Wow. I thought there was more to it than that. Wow. Nope, just as Elsa with the extra ability to jump. So it's kind of sad and pathetic. They come all this way just to do a rubbing of the shield of Sir Richard. And here the bad guys try to blow him up. And they get into a little bit of an action boat race, which I think was the exact next thing. I don't know if there was a scene. Again, it's to the point where there's a lot of scenes, and I haven't sat down and watched in any Indiana Jones movies in at least a few years. But there's a lot of scenes where the characters just are running and talking, sitting down and talking, sitting at a table talking, walking and talking maybe even a few times. So much so that it makes those scenes very unrememberable. And because there aren't even any like great lines that I would remember. So I don't know if there was a 5-second shot in the movie between them escaping the catacombs and getting in a boat, or if it may have been a 2-minute shot where he actually did get chased by people with guns or punched people. The Lego mechanic certainly points people to do a lot more punching, because that's just how this game works. So we're in this big area, and this usually works for something. And I just damaged a silver-hearted character, which is not what silver hearts means in LEGO games. Or at least it's not what it usually means. Silver hearts means that the thing cannot be defeated. And here we have the propeller from the movie. I'm noticing several sections here that it feels like I could jump up here, but I don't think you actually can. And even if you could jump up there, it doesn't seem like that would be helpful. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I can get any further up there. And getting near the edge caused it to lock up. So I knocked that one down. And see, that's another silver heart damage. There you go. 9, 10. And that puts a collectible up here. So we can come over here and collect that. I would think if you were gonna have the gun section, even though this didn't happen in the movie, I would think it would be nice to have a gun right in the middle there. You break the crates open, you pick up a bazooka, and then you use the bazooka to shoot at the things. Or maybe you go a little less violent, because I'm sure LEGO was trying very hard to convince TT games to not have gun sections, even though there were a lot of gun scenes in the movie. It probably went back and forth a lot. I guess I can't fix that. And since I can't fix it, I probably can't make it up from that point up to there. And even if I could make it up there, I don't think that would help. Maybe a fishing net. You got into the central part of the lake here and you spun the dial and it raised the fishing net, and he ran into the fishing net and took damage. That would be kind of cool. It's a little bit more of a puzzle than just generally running around, because that's all I'm doing right now is I'm just like, where are you? Where are you, guy? Where are you hiding? Aren't you trying to kill me? Does he disappear completely when both characters aren't in the boat? Or is he just... was he there the whole time? Alright, that gets him down to 1. And that seems to take control of the camera and point him right. Alright, see, that makes sense. Now, this isn't something that happened in the movie. Instead, he was on the... he got on the boat we were on in the movie, and he fought Indiana Jones. And now the bad guys swap and I'm back on the boat again? Really? This is ridiculous. Ridiculous extra work. And see, if I collide head on with the boat, it still does damage to him. And maybe it does some damage to me too, but it doesn't matter really. And so now he's waiting for the second fight. So I guess that previous fight didn't really happen in the movie. We get over here and we punch him. And then the cutscene jumps to Indy punching him instead of Elsa punching him. It's almost excusable in this movie that Indiana Jones ends up helping the bad guys, because he is actually being directed and manipulated by Elsa to help the bad guys. Spoiler alert for a 30-year-old movie. But, and I guess now that Indy knows his father is missing, he actually has some motivation to do this. What's funny is that arguably the Uncharted series does it right by just having the Nathan Drake character just be kind of a jerk who's looking out for fortune and glory and not trying to make him seem like the good guy, because then the motivations can be as simple as fortune and glory. Anyways, that was a kind of long one. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.